Good afternoon. This is Sean Golding with Golding and Golding, here to discuss a very common issue that we deal with clients who are considering expatriating from the United States, and that is the Golden Visa programs. Why don't we take a little time and discuss a little bit about expatriation, Golden Visa programs, how they can help you, how sometimes they're not everything they're cracked up to be for expatriates who may be considering the program. So what is expatriation? Expatriation is the concept of U.S. citizens and long-term lawful permanent residents. When they leave the United States for good and give up their U.S. status, it's considered expatriation. For some expatriates, they'll be considered a covered expatriate, and that's when you get into all that nasty exit tax, deemed distributions, mark-to-market, things of that nature. There's three main tests: the net worth test, the net income tax liability test, and the not 5 years tax compliant. When it's time to expatriate, typically the green card holders will file a Form I-407, which is relatively straightforward, pretty simple for U.S. citizens. The U.S. doesn't want to see you go, so they don't make it that easy for you. You generally have to go overseas, take an oath at the embassy, consulate, and give up your status, as well as filing a whole host of forms, DS forms, Department of State 4079, 4083, and then down the line you'll receive a stamped 4083, loss of nationalism, which basically says you've given up your U.S. status. So the Golden Visa programs, right? It's exactly what it says it is. It's the idea that you can invest in a country and gain citizenship or residence depending on which path that you want to choose. You know, the U.S. has a Golden Visa as well, for all those listening who think it's just foreign countries trying to do getting people to move there by investment. In the U.S., it's referred to as an EB-5 investment visa, where someone can invest a significant amount of money and then they get the visa. That visa can lead to a green card, and down the line can lead to U.S. citizenship. Citizenship-by-Investment, CBI, is generally preferred for U.S. persons who don't already have dual citizenship. Why? Because you can't be stateless when you expatriate, so you have to have citizenship in another country. Citizenship-by-Investment also provides you the ability to get the passport, because you're a citizen, right? And you have to be a citizen probably in all countries just to get a passport. Otherwise, if you've got citizenship already in another country and you're just looking for the ability to travel visa-free, or visa on arrival, it's called, so you don't have to set up the visa beforehand, then you can do resident by investment, RBI, which in some programs you can move from RBI to CBI. Sometimes there's a country you want to go to, but they've already filled up the number of applications they're accepting for their Golden Visa program, and so you may start out as a resident and then transfer later. The two main travel benefits for most of our clients is the ability to move throughout the Schengen area, 26 different countries. Even for certain passports and visas that are not actually a country in the Schengen zone, Schengen area, sometimes depending on what country you're from or what country you have the passport to or the travel card, you can stay in that entire area for 90 days versus each individual country. Some of the other ones also provide access to the EU, which is great. There are some of the Golden Visas that you have access to 180 plus countries to travel. Some of the more common ones, the Portugal is one of the most common ones, because you could be a non-habitual resident and not have to pay most tax as long as you're not a resident for the first 10 years. They're modifying that program soon. In other words, by modifying the program, now you're not going to be able to necessarily invest in the properties you would want on the coast like Lisbon. Instead, you got to go out more rural to do the investment. There's a newer program, the Montenegro program, which is great because it's relatively newer. They're going to have a limited number of applications, but there's still a lot more coastal properties available for a newer type of program. And then St. Kitts and Nevis and Malta are two very popular programs as well. Malta also recently updated its program. The citizenship program I think it was November 2020, and they're going to be updating the resident program in 2021. For U.S. persons who are considering a golden visa and expatriation, the idea is to escape being a covered expatriate. And if you're not going to pass the net worth test, or you can plan around it, and you're not going to fail the net income tax liability test, you want to make sure that you're 5 years tax compliant before undertaking expatriation. If you're not, you want to consider one of the voluntary disclosure programs in order to get you into compliance beforehand. There's the voluntary disclosure program if you're willful. If you're non-willful, like most taxpayers, then you can do streamlined filing compliance procedures. There's reasonable cause and delinquency. They've modified delinquency a bit as of lately, but it's still a good program depending on the facts and circumstances of your case. If you have any questions, we have lots of information available on our main website, goldenlawyers.com. We have an entire website dedicated exclusively to expatriation, so no, you're not the only one Googling this. Over at expatriationattorneys.com, you can always reach out and schedule a reduced fee initial consultation if you think it's appropriate. Again, my name is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.